And what has become a new national epidemic, a real epidemic, not one concocted in the Wuhan lab, there's a growing trend of teachers, notably female teachers, becoming sexually involved with their students. The most recent example of this comes from Downers Grove, a middle-class suburb of Chicago. This 30-year-old special education teacher was caught having sexual relations with her 15-year-old student. In another disturbing case just down the road, a high school teacher was sentenced to 19 years in prison for possessing child pornography. But the Chicago area schools have been praised by corporate media and their Democrat Party overlords for having the courage to force feed anti-white propaganda as well as anti-American indoctrination to their students. In fact, the schools with these sexual perverts working as teachers are run by some of the most radical left-wing people imaginable. Join us now is Terry Newsome. He's a resident in the area of Chicago and is also the host of the Behind Enemy Lines, a podcast documenting the decline of America's third largest city of Chicago. But Terry, we're always talking to you about this immigration issue, but really you got, and we noted this last week, you got into this activism and journalism because you were just a dad who was concerned about this sick, perverted, what we now call woke. I almost don't like using that term anymore because it's kind of gone off into different places, but the sick perversion and indoctrination in your kids' schools, right?
Yeah, the first school board meeting I ever spoke at was about genderqueer and the sexual pornographic pictures that were in there, and the school board insisted that it was not pornography because it doesn't fit the legal definition of porn, which is just ridiculous. Later, Sean Casten, radical leftist congressman here, I confronted him at a book banning event, and I brought my big poster from genderqueer, and he got so flustered. After 2 years, he goes, "There's only one person that brought pornography in this library, and it's him." And we've been fighting for that. I was attacked, pummeled, bigot, anti-gay for simply saying that's porn. I just don't want it in my kid's school. Now all of a sudden, when the congressman said it, nobody's saying anything. And his kid was in Downers Grove high schools. There's Downers Grove North and South. And the two teachers, actually, you said down the road, those two teachers were both in my kid's school of Downers Grove South that were sexually molesting and pornographic images with children. And what I find ironic is they're so worried about all this woke culture and transgenderism and all this crazy stuff. And right under their noses, each teacher for about 1.5 to 2 years had these activities going on right under their noses.
It does seem like we're seeing more women be involved in this kind of, sexually inappropriate relationships with children or pushing this sexually explicit content. Is this a new epidemic, or is it just that we're now paying attention?
I don't remember when I was in high school. I think it's new with more women because there's been other women outside of my kids' school area that there has been more of that going on. Also, TPUSA labeled this school board, D99 school board, as one of the most radical in the country a few years ago before all this stuff happened. Even at that point in time, they thought they were radical. And then in some of the health classes, they had there's Downers Grove North and South. In my kids' school, they had a lesbian, telling the kids that you're assigned your sex at birth. Downers Grove North, they had this transvestite full of tattoos doing the exact same class. Looks like she just walked out of prison with shaved head, teaching these kids, these sophomore children, that you're assigned your sex at birth.
Yeah, and you sent pictures of those. I mean, it was kind of amazing, and we'll add in those pictures for people to see. But you sent pictures of these two. I couldn't decide which one was the woman and which one was the man, or I was a little bit confused. I mean, you just look at those people. You only have to take one look at those people, Terry, and know that they should not be around your children. You don't even have to interview them or really talk to them.
Yeah, regardless of the content, they're intimidating. It's not, as Donald Trump says, this is not normal, right? And to say this is not normal doesn't mean you hate gay people and stuff, right? I think we're all embracing, let everybody do what they want to do, but don't force this stuff that's not normal. It's not right. It's sexualizing our children down our throats, and then insist that it's normal, and insist if you don't do it, we're going to attack you. We're going to go after your job. We're going to label you as anti-gay. It's not the case. We just don't want to sexualize our children, period. No matter if it's heterosexual or homosexual, these are children, both sides. They're children, and let's treat them like children and just teach them reading, writing, and arithmetic. That's it.
So, Terry, let me ask you, with the dismantling of the Department of Education, everything's going to go back to the states. I mean, there states had a lot of control, but there was the strong hand of the government with funding and the Department of Education, right? How is this going
Yeah.
to go? Like, how is this going to impact your children's school
Well,
there?
it scares me, right? It's great that Trump did that, but remember, we're in the state of
Hmm.
Illinois, right? Behind enemy lines, communist state of Illinois, and Pritzker from fourth grade through high school put tampon machines in these boys' bathrooms, free tampons and tampon machines, throughout the whole state of Illinois. He did that. He did that with the money. So my concern is, I'd like to hear from the Trump administration. What does this mean to states like us? Do they get more money now to indoctrinate and sexualize our children since you're relinquishing this to them? Right? I don't know. Nobody said anything. I mean, it's a good thing, and I think there's a lot of wasted money. But if it gets in the hands of these evil people that are sexualizing and indoctrinate our children, that could be bad for us in the state of Illinois. I mean, why would you put a tampon machine in a fourth grade boy's bathroom, or anyone's for that matter, unless there's something wrong with you?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I think that their proposition from their suggestion from the Trump administration is, look, you got to get control of your states and you got to be active in your state and active in the community. But you are in sort of an uphill battle in the communist state of Illinois, Terry Newsome, and it's going to take a lot of parents to fight, right, to try to straighten out the education system there.
Yeah, yeah. A couple other things too. They have the League of Women Voters come into school and register the kids. I'm sure you know who they are, right? I tried to see if we could come
Hmm.
in and register kids. They won't let us. I tried to help a few years ago to start a TPUSA chapter. Well, they had a leftist one in the school, right? They said no, no, we don't allow national organizations. Then I found out the one that was sponsoring the ones in the kids' schools from California. So instead of letting Charlie Kirk and the kids organize one, I forced them to close their political club because they said that they would not allow Charlie Kirk's because it was national, which makes absolutely no sense. And then later, the principal at the time sent me an email saying, "Oh, he speaks racist Nazi sentiment," and I got the email, and that was the true reason why. They just don't want us to have a voice, any voice whatsoever.
You know what is also amazing? I'm sorry, I still can't get over those two people that work in your kid's school. I'm so sorry that those pictures are so horrific. Um, one's actually a pastor at a Methodist church, right? So not only
Oh,
are they involved in the school, but they're involved in the church, which is
it's worse than
blows
that.
my mind. Christians, get it together.
They're a collection of, I call them the LGBTQ Nazis that come after us. And so yeah, the one is the pastor in the Methodist Church who had dragged Santa Claus for innocent children. If you're so innocent you believe in Santa Claus that brings you
Wait, they had
gifts, then
drag Santa?
yes, yes, you have the video. I was on HBO. I dressed as Bad Santa to protest there. And so if you're an innocent child and then you believe that Santa Claus is real and you believe the gifts you get from Santa are from Santa, not your parents, those kids are so young and innocent. Even if they are gay or whatever, I don't think at that age they think, "Hey, I hope I could sit on a trans Santa." Right? I mean, it's absurd. They're doing it. They're doing it to indoctrinate the kids. They're doing it for us. They're doing it to create, friction, and it's crazy. And then that pastor was going to be hired to be a counselor in the Downers Grove Public Library by the radical leftists. Is that what you want to counsel children? Right? I mean, I think you'd want to have someone a little bit more emotional stability that would have the access to your children in a public funded library.
Look, this just highlights the fact that there was a victory, there a battle was won, but the war is not over. We cannot get complacent. We have help in the White House now. We have help in the Trump administration, but there's still much work to be done by individuals in every state and every locality. Thank you so much, Terry Newsom, for bringing this story forward to our audience, so that perhaps they can help out in knowing that this is still happening in schools. We think it's over. It's not.
So one quick little last statement. My co-host Paul Drapick's
Yeah.
running for village council. He's the only father that speaks up against this, right? And they're attacking him. Everybody's attacking him. He's a military vet. He's got little kids, and they're trying to destroy him and everyone around him. And Paul's the only guy that speaks up for parents like me. That's how we met, fighting at the school boards. And parents should not be scared to say this is not right. It's not appropriate for our children.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people feel that way, but they're not willing to step up. They're too afraid. We'd love to talk to Paul sometime, who's active in the politics as well, and is fighting the good fight and actually putting his name in the hat, right? Putting himself in the ring. Thank you so much, Terry.
Yeah, thanks.
Tomorrow, we plan to dive in even deeper into that executive order on election fraud signed by Donald Trump today. And we'll give you more perspective on it and context and what to look forward in the future. So you don't want to miss that. And that's the absolute truth.